Anyway, it got cut off. Phone died. But the point is, I'm going on a tangent, but the point is that pedogate is real. Pedophilia is real. Child abuse is real. The psyop through all kinds of different avenues to make us believe that our highest value in this world is our own sexuality, to be completely exploited on a equality level is 100% real. It's being taught in the schools, it's being taught through daycare, it's being taught in so many different realms. We have children that want to become Victoria's Secret models. If you understand what's happening in the modeling industry on a high level, the elite level, these are systematic, hereditary, sexually abused, satanic. If you don't like the word satanic, you can use whatever word you want to use for it. To me, going as deep as I've gone into this situation, there's no other word for it. When you realize the depths of depravity that these folks are involved in, with literally having zero understanding or compassion for the human dignity of themselves or other people. If you look at American Psycho, if you look back in history, I guess as far back as you want to go in the 20th century, the whole point of World War I, World War II, and every single war since then was to pull people out of an idea of compassion and humanity and being able to build something with their own two hands. The sons were taken out of that at a very young age to be thrown into this reality that they're killing each other, and in their downtime they had prostitutes and drugs and gambling and all this terrible stuff that told them that that was going to be a pastime. You look at Vietnam. At Vietnam, what did they do? What did these soldiers do? They were involved with women from Vietnam that were selling themselves off to these soldiers for a good time. There was porn that blew up during that same time. And now it's become an everyday thing where young people don't think twice about it. And they think that that's a normal reaction to how to relate to other people. There's massive child abuse. There's massive child abuse. You know, and these kids grow up thinking that that's normal. There's a problem. There's a major problem when you talk about feminism, or you talk about raising up humanity in wanting everyone to be seen equally in dignity, not in depravity, but in dignity. Anyone who's down with equality in that sense would have nothing to do with this kind of stuff. You know, I mean, when I walk down a street, or I want to connect with someone just on a human level, I want to be able to say, hello, how are you? And get that same empathetic, compassionate understanding of humanity of like, hey, I see you, you're a person, I'm a person too, I see I want your well-being, I hope the same thing that you would want that for me as well. Fantastic, Unfortunately, in this really jacked up society, if I were to walk down a street as I look, okay, and I say hello to someone, they think I'm coming on to them. And they not only think I'm coming on to them, they think in the worst depraved concept of coming on to them. That makes me feel like shit. I don't know if you've ever experienced that, but I have. Over and over again. And if I'm interested in you, I'll let you know. I'm pretty direct. But if I'm just trying to share my humanity with somebody and just let them know that I see them as a person and I care about them in the sense of, hey, look, I see you. Just simply, I see you, and I want goodwill for you. And I'd like to give you a hug out of compassion and be a friend, I don't want to feel dirty from that. I don't want to walk away from that conversation feeling like there was something dirty that happened. Does that make sense? And that's what's going on with a lot of stuff. So, yeah, there's a weird duplicitousness to my journey. And I know a lot of people. I'm grateful for all the people that I know and the people I really care about, which are most people. But I also know there's this other side of what's going on with humanity and what's going on with the exploitation of people. It has nothing to do with color or even with gender. It's all over the place. If you want to look at what the future could be for all of us and what some of these powers say should be equality, look at Libya. Some of the powers that are talking about equality, and they're liars, were the exact same people that created Libya and what Libya's going through right now. I don't care if you self-identify as conservative or liberal or whatever those words mean. It doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. We have to look at every single issue for what it is, not in the framing of what our liberal masters or our conservative masters tell us how we should look at it. Look at it for what it is. There are people literally on a slave block in Libya being sold out. There are young girls in America right now that call themselves Instagram models. And they're reframed in a different light, but it's the exact same thing. They're putting themselves out there on a platform for the highest bidder. Usually it's Saudi Arabian princes and diplomats or whatnot that will pay a high price for them to come out to Dubai. Terrible things happen to them behind closed doors. But they get that one Instagram picture of them, look at me on this boat. Look at me at this really fancy place. Look at me at doing all this amazing stuff. They don't show you what happens behind closed doors to make that picture happen. Is that freedom? Do we want that for our kids? Do we want that for ourselves? Do we call that success? No. This is what's going on. The concept of freedom is not about financial freedom at any cost of your own conscience. Freedom is being able to live out your best conscience and living out your highest character and your best potential without selling out for $1. And you don't have to be a slave to a higher power that tells you that the only way to exist in this world is to earn it by their own standards, which is usually depravity. This is important. It's a very important conversation that all of us need to have in retuning what we understand the word freedom to be. The freedom to be able to know that you can exist in this world without having to retune your consciousness, your character. It's possible. I know it is. I've been doing it. And a lot of you have been doing it too. And we can have wonderful experiences with each other in caring, in lifting each other up, in respecting each other's humanity, in respecting each other's individuality, without exploiting each other. It's 100% possible. The thing that I've been noticing in the last, I don't know, maybe 4 years, is that there's a huge divide between the people that get it and the people that don't get it. There's a massive divide. You've got people on one side that they really understand lifting up other people and finding a way to really respect what each person comes to the table with. And they're not trying to exploit another person. And they live in this really beautiful realm of abundance, joy, caring for each other, volunteering in all kinds of different facets, trying to be really good people, you know? And that's beautiful. Then there's this whole other side, like whole other side of people that they live in complete fear. Maybe they were raised up in a community that was gang involved or mafia involved, really dark stuff, where if they even thought about going against that grain, they would get destroyed, 100%. And there's massive criminality going on there. Neither shall the two meet. Neither does the two talk. Neither does the two want to acknowledge the other. There's a problem with that. Because if you don't recognize that there are people in the world that are living under this absolute 100% fear and exploitation, a community of complete depravity, and if they were to go beyond that, they would get destroyed. Well, when you're this person on the good side and this like naive side, you don't understand fully what's going on. And that's what I'm seeing happening. Because when I try to talk to certain friends that have had zero experience with understanding MS-13 or understanding the mafia or understanding prostitution, understanding Hollywood exploitation and escort services, and understanding the modeling industry of selling girls out, young girls from all over the world for profit. Those other folks have no idea what's really going on. They paint everything in this like really happy picture, in this bubble, because they don't want to look at the other side. And the other people that are involved in the really gnarly stuff, they're so conditioned to thinking that the depravity and them selling their bodies or being involved in this criminality is such a norm. They don't understand what it's like to live beyond that. They really don't. They have no concept. And when I try to bridge the two and talk about it, it doesn't seem to click with even either side. So I guess at this point, all I can do is ask you guys what to do. What do you do with that? How do you figure that out? That's where I'm at. That's where I'm at. How do you lift people up by just being who you are, but also being open to everybody? But everybody comes from such a different background, so many different individual experiences, so many different goods or bads. And we're not all going to see eye to eye. And we're not going to understand things the same way. Even though they'd love for us to say that we do. That's a lie. It's not true. How do we fix that? How do we fix that? I'm in Nashville now, and I'm happy. Like, it's a really nice space. It's a really good place. And my goal here is to help inspire sound, music. I love doing visual art, but I know that music is the highest form of art, and it retunes everything. And if we can inspire the highest form of art to raise it up, that'd be some good stuff. That'd be some real good stuff. You're going to find out that there's going to be a lot of nonprofits that go bankrupt in the next 6 months. Big time. Big time. Especially in the arts. There's going to be a reason for that. Backpage has now been dismantled. And it's a sticky situation for a lot of people because porn And that whole thing has been normalized. And a lot of people have their hands kind of stuck in it a little bit, so they don't really want to think that it's the worst thing in the world, but there's some really bad stuff there. Because it's been stopped, a lot of derivative things are going to go away. There's also going to be less funding for a lot of institutions that were making money behind closed doors from that. You're going to notice that Disney is going to lose funding for different things. You're going to notice that some universities are going to lose funding. You're going to notice a lot of supposed charities that said that they were doing good things and they really weren't, are going to lose funding from it. Notice who loses funding. Notice, and they're going to always say like, oh, it's our choice. We've decided to just let this go. They're lying. They're saying something nice. What they've really lost is funding from some nasty stuff they were involved in. It's not a bad thing. It's actually a really good thing. It's going to seem kind of weird at first for a lot of us that thought that what these folks were doing was good. But once all the dust settles, what I'm hoping is that the really good people doing good things in the world that usually don't get funded because they're not part of that crap, that they're finally going to be able to have a chance. We've been so brainwashed for so long into listening to voices that told us that they were doing good things, and they really weren't. It's going to be a really hard pill to swallow to realize that some of these folks that we aligned ourselves with, and I'm just going to say us, I mean, honestly, like, I've known this shit for years, and so I really haven't been part of it. So to be quite honest, like, sorry, I'm really not part of it. I just don't want you to feel alone. I don't want you to feel stupid, because it's tough. But I mean, like, all right, these guys are a bunch of liars, and they have played people for a really long time. A really long time. And that's why we're broke. Because we keep listening to them. And we keep putting our money towards them. And we keep doing this. It's all going to go down. And what I'm hoping is that finally, whatever we do in this world has value. Because people will finally see that on an individual level, not on a marketing level, that you're doing something good in your own community. You know, and not tuning it into what you were taught to do through CMU or some kind of Media Matters campaign. Just be there for your neighbors, even if you guys think differently. I mean, like, I can't tell you how many people in Pittsburgh that I thought totally different from them, but I still had their back. And I'd have their kid's birthday at my place. And I cared a lot for them. It didn't matter to me that we thought differently. They were my neighbor. That was my friend. That was someone in front of me. I saw their humanity. I cared about them. If we could do that and not worry about all this other crap, maybe things will finally change. Anyway, I've talked way too much, and I've gone on so many different tangents. Please check out, please watch what is losing funding. It's not a bad thing, it's actually a good thing. And then be there for your friend or your neighbor. So we're going to be making some music here, and we're going to be doing some good stuff here, and things are changing, and things are getting lifted up. It's important. If you see in your neighborhood someone who is involved in weird stuff, report them, follow them, find out what they're really about. That'll be a good thing. There's a lot of predators out there. A lot of people that, unfortunately, whether they were indoctrinated as a kid or whatever, there's people out there that just want to destroy innocence. They feed off of that. And there's a lot of them out there. If we protected it more, and we cared about making sure in real time we cared about innocence with kids, that we wouldn't have so many of the derivative problems that we have now. So many derivative problems. So anyway, all right, guys. Good night. Thanks for listening to me rant, and I'll talk to you soon.